be honest with you, most of us are not drinking enough water, myself included. In this video, I'm going to break down how much water we actually need in a day, how much water is too much, easy tips for how to drink more water, and how to know if you're getting enough water. Plus, at the end, I'm also going to share how much water I actually drink in a day and how I stack up to what we should be having. I'm excited to dive into this topic today because as a registered dietitian, I know how important hydration is, and it's something that honestly kind of gets put on the back burner. So if you're excited about this video too, be sure to give it a thumbs up and let's do it. I hate drinking water. I'll be honest with you. If you guys can relate to that, let me know in the comments so I know I'm not alone. Increasing my water intake is something that I'm actually working on right now myself, so I figured this was the perfect time to dive into this topic so we can all do it together. So the reason why I'm working on this topic of increasing my water intake is because I can actually feel a difference from when I'm hydrated to when I'm not. I feel a lot better when I'm actually hydrated. Now, it wasn't always this way. I never used to notice a difference when I was hydrated versus when I wasn't. And hydration status and thirst cues are just like our hunger cues. You can adapt to the state of being dehydrated and you don't know any better, right? It's just your new normal, but it takes you actually getting rehydrated because you start to realize that your body's actually functioning a lot better. And to be honest with you, most of us are sitting here walking around in a state of mild dehydration. So the first step, obviously, is to get your body to a place of rehydration. Give it some water. So now the question is, how much water should you be drinking a day? And like a lot of nutrition information out there, there's a lot of bogus information out there on how much water we should be drinking. How much water is too much, how much water is not enough. To be honest with you, when I was doing some peeking around to see what nutrition information was out there for hydration, I was a little shocked at what I saw. You want me to drink how much water a day? So let's go ahead and clear the air here when it comes to how much water should we be drinking, how much water is too much, how much water is not enough. So let's go ahead and dive into that. Okay, so now we know we need to be drinking more water, but how much do we need to be drinking and how much is too much? So obviously everyone is different, and this is not meant to be taken as medical advice or me telling you what to do, but a good estimate that you can use, kind of a rough starting place, is women need about 11.5 cups of water a day and men need about 15.5. However, about 20% of that comes from the foods we eat. Yes, there's actually water in food. So that brings women down to about 9 cups of water a day and men to about 12.5. And again, obviously this is going to be different for every single person. Like I said, just like the amounts of foods that we need in a day, it can depend on how active are you, what's your age, are you pregnant, are you breastfeeding? So many different pieces of our lives impact how much water we need. Okay, so I'm a woman, 9 cups of water a day for me. That's roughly 72 ounces or about 3.5 of these water bottles. This is my Camelback water bottle. Guys, I love it. The straw just makes it so much more fun to drink water, let's be honest. So I'll link to this in the description if you want one. It's definitely increased my water intake because it's just fun. Okay, so how much water is too much? Now, most of us, like I've said, are not drinking enough water in the first place. So I wouldn't necessarily worry that we are going to be getting too much water, but I see a lot of like water gallon challenges out there, and you do not necessarily need to be drinking an entire gallon of water a day. So that would be like 6.5 of these water bottles. That's a lot of water. So that's 16 versus those 9 cups of water. Now, you could be drinking too much water if your urine is ultra clear, which we'll get to that in a minute, or if you're not really hungry. I know a lot of people use drinking a lot of water as a way to suppress their hunger cues, and really that's just going to kind of come around and bite us in the behind because all of a sudden your body's going to realize it hasn't been getting enough food, so it's going to become so hangry that it just wants to eat all of the food at once. It's almost like that restrict binge cycle that I talk about a lot, where you restrict food and then all of a sudden you start to binge because your body's like, I haven't seen food in an adequate amount in forevs. So yes, if you drink a bunch of water, you might not feel as hungry, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Hunger is not bad. You guys have heard me say that a million times, and water shouldn't be used as a way to suppress your hunger. We need our hunger. You could also be really bloated. That might be a sign you're drinking too much water. But to be honest, like I said, I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily in the drinking too much water boat. Now, since a lot of us are walking around in a state of semi-dehydration. But just know that you don't need to go that extreme and drink gallons and gallons of water every day, especially like you see those, like I said, water gallon challenges and whatnot. Don't go overboard. And I think when we see that, it can kind of lead to that all or nothing thinking too. Like, okay, well, if I don't finish my entire water gallon that I've given myself for the day, then I'm not doing it right, or it's not even worth it. Don't set yourself up for that black and white mentality and that all or nothing thinking. So for how much water is too much, really just look at yourself. Feel, how are you feeling? I think that's one of the biggest things that we can actually ask ourselves. Do you still have hunger cues? Are you feeling physically okay? I think those are really important things. To be honest, guys, the best way to know if you're drinking too much water is to look at your pee. I know that sounds so gross, but whatever, let's just be real here. You shouldn't have bright yellow urine. It should not be neon. It should not be dark. It should be a nice lemonade color, if you will. You want it to be a really light yellow. So if it's dark, you're probably not drinking enough. Spoiler, that's how I kind of realized, Colleen, maybe you're not drinking enough. Just being honest. Okay, so now let's get into some really easy ways to boost water intake. And these are really things that I have been doing myself over the past little while when I've really been focusing on my hydration intake. And if you guys have go-to tips that you use to increase your water intake, let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for more ideas. Like I said, I hate drinking water. I feel like there's two types of people in the world. People who like love water and need it all the time, and people who just don't like it. I'm typically in the don't like camp. So the first tip I think is definitely just to have a water bottle on hand. If I have a water bottle with me, I'm so much more likely to just kind of mindlessly sip on it versus obvi if I don't have one on hand. I noticed that when I used to have a desk job, I drank water a lot because it was kind of just something to occupy myself. I would just have my water bottle on my desk and I would drink it. But since I've transitioned into owning my own business and really working from home a lot more over the past year, I definitely don't necessarily just have that mindless drinking. But if I have a water bottle on hand, it can really help. And I know that right now this video is coming out during a time when we're all social distancing, so a lot of us are working from home, and just use this one tip. Just have a water bottle next to you wherever you're working, or in your car, or in your purse, whatever, just have it on you. The second tip I have is to add flavor. Guys, I feel like this is really demonized a lot, like we have to drink plain water or it doesn't count. Totally not true. I'm a fan of using, you can use fresh fruit if you want to go more natural, but to be honest, I also really love those packets or the squirt bottles to add some flavor, those flavor enhancers. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you prefer something more natural, go for it, but they also do have a lot of natural sweeteners like that, little squirt bottles. I'm also a fan of setting hydration goals, so I will challenge myself and say I want to drink 3 of these a day because like I said, you don't really start to know those thirst cues and really understand how much better you feel until you're to a state of hydration and you can actually feel it. Now, don't make this into a rule. I have to drink that amount, but it's almost like you're viewing it as an experiment. What would it feel like if I drank more water? Or, you know, what would it feel like in days where I drink 1 water bottle versus days that I drink 4? Do I notice a difference? And then let that be your guide. What did you feel better doing? I've also really been loving having a glass of water available at meal times because I never realize how thirsty I am at meals unless I have a glass of water there. And this is kind of a kill 2 birds with 1 stone because it's also going to help you be a lot more mindful as you're eating your meal because you're likely going to stop and take breaks, get some water in there versus just kind of shoveling our meals into our mouths, which I've definitely done. And you guys know I'm totally big on mindful eating. Okay, and the last tip that I've personally been doing is having a glass of tea at night. So this kind of serves, again, a couple purposes. It allows me to be hydrated so that I don't wake up in the morning and have that neon urine. And it also just really kind of helps me to wind down. Lately, I've been doing a lot of tea and reading after dinner, just like half an hour. Oh, it's like the best. It helps me wind down. So that's really something that I've been loving to do lately, just having some herbal tea. I still have some of the holiday ones. They had Candy Cane Lane, I think at Trader Joe's. So good. I still have some of those. Let me know if you guys have tea recommendations in the comments. I'm all about it. Okay, so now that we know how much water we should be drinking, how much water is too much, how to drink more water, let's get into how much water I actually drink in a day. So like I said, I knew that I had not been drinking enough water. So I did a little estimate of, okay, how much do I usually drink on the day to day? And I would say a rough estimate would be like 50 ounces, and that would be on a good day. There are days, to be honest with you, where I feel like the only liquid I drink is coffee, which does count towards your daily water intake, but I notice a difference when I'm drinking water versus when I'm drinking coffee. Now, there are days when I'll have a smoothie in the morning and I will put a cup or two of ice in there. That's also going to count towards that water intake. So that 50 ounces is kind of really a rough estimate and definitely varies from day to day, just like food intake. And like I said, there are days when I honestly feel like I hardly have any and I feel it. Now, if you're saying I don't feel that, I don't have those hydration cues, you can strengthen them. And the first step is to really just to drink more water. It's just like our hunger cues. When we are in a state of just constant dieting and not eating enough, our body's gonna be like, they are not listening to me, so I'm just gonna stop giving them cues. Same thing with water. And to me, that is the best way to really guide your hydration, just like our food intake, is to say, how am I feeling? That's key. So there you have the facts on hydration, how much water we should have in a day, how much water is too much, how to drink more water, and how much water I usually drink. So if you're with me and trying to drink more water, let me know in the comments. Let's do this all together and keep me posted on how you feel. Do you feel better? If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. You can also hit that little bell to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. That really does help me to create more videos for you guys and help others to see my videos as well. So with that, I will see you guys next Sunday. And this next one is going to be a really fun one. I'm doing a vlog of our at-home date night with social distancing. So we're gonna get takeout. It's gonna be fab. So stay tuned for that one so you can come along on date night. And I'll also be sharing some tips on how to eat mindfully on date night, how to not have that guilt associated with quote unquote bad foods. It's gonna be a good time. So I will see you guys then.